Welcome to Life After 40 Conversations with Phillip Blackett. This is a space for honest, thoughtful conversations about midlife, without the hype, without diagnosis, and without pressure. If you're somewhere between 35 and 55 years old and quietly navigating questions about your energy, your identity, your work, your faith, your relationships, or your health, you're not alone. Midlife can often look stable on the outside and feel unsettled underneath. Life After 40 Conversations exist to do one thing well: to give adults in midlife the language, the clarity, and the calm perspective for a season that can often feel confusing, lonely, or silently overwhelming. This show exists to help you feel seen, help you feel steady and less alone as you navigate the second half of life. Now, bear in mind, this is not a self help program. It's not a medical show, and it's not a motivational pep rally. What this is a meaning making space. Each episode is a grounded conversation with myself alongside leaders, caregivers, entrepreneurs, pastors, parents, professionals, and thoughtful human beings who are living through midlife in real time, just like you and me. We reflect on lived experiences without issuing prescriptions with peer pressure. Because I believe in this deeply. Midlife is worth living and worth living well. And living it well doesn't start with pressure, it starts with perspective. So if you ever thought to yourself, why does this season feel different for me? Or why am I rethinking things that used to feel settled before? You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I'm grateful that you're here. So let's begin today's conversation. My guest today is Phillip Lanier. He is an entrepreneur who built and sold an 8-figure business after growing up in poverty. Today, he helps everyday people take control of their money through practical financial discipline, mindset shifts, and real-world strategies that actually work. He is also the author of the book No College, No Problem, and teaches people how to go from financial survival to stability and long-term wealth. Phillip, welcome to Life After 40 Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for what you do.
Absolutely. So, really, just to get things started, Phillip, it's kind of weird me saying Phillip, and my name's Phillip too, but I think we'll make it work. Um, I just shared your introduction to our audience. Love to get in your own words here. Before the titles and the resume, who is Phillip in this season of life?
Wow, that is such a good question. So Philip, in this season of life, I'm still trying to learn what my full second act is. I don't know if we ever know, because I see people, switching gears at 70 and 80 years old. I just met a guy that's 80 years old and he's trying to hand off a nonprofit so he can start another one. So I'm still learning here. But I'm someone that has really recognized that um, there's just so many things we weren't taught, and mainly because the people that were teaching us things didn't know things about how to survive, how to do well, and get out of like a survival mindset. And so I'm going back and just a really a really important quote that hit me about a year and a half ago. So I'm kind of jumping around here. Was you're most equipped to help the person that you used to be. So that's what I'm doing. I have kind of a broad spectrum of people that I used to be. But I'm going back and getting people because seems like a lot of the, not necessarily wealth secrets, but just mindset secrets. They shouldn't be secrets. They should be passed all the way down. In the way the world is kind of sped up, and I'm probably getting too far and too serious on you here, but we miss the front porch time to where we sit with an older person on the front porch and we learn, and So I'm trying to go back and be that older person now.
And so I agree and resonate a lot with what you said, Philip. I think the front porch talks, we'll call them,
Yeah.
for a lot of people, those aren't every day anymore.
Hmm.
And I would remember growing up with my grandparents, like those were times where you sat on the couch and you had time. You can ask those type of questions. Like, what was life like for you when you were growing up? What was life like when you were raising my mom? Like certain questions that you can learn. And like you said before, without getting too serious about this, because of how much the world is sped up,
Hmm.
technology, AI, all this sort of thing, social media, a lot of people are kind of on their own little islands in their own little bubbles. And unfortunately, community has had a different redefinition now
Hmm.
compared to what it used to. And
Yes.
that's been part of the goal here with this show, Life at 40 Conversations, honestly, being able to provide a sense of, as you're trying to help your former self, we kind of share like what helped you in a way that could be helpful for somebody else. For those who don't have the previous generation or someone has made it a little bit further, to be able to impart that wisdom and share that sort
Right.
of insight and those lived experiences. And so that's what I think is really helpful about what we're doing here. And I love the fact that you recognize like the importance of helping people understand you can always learn something from somebody.
Right. Yeah. As you were talking, I was listening to you, and I guess the back of my mind was running at the same time because I was thinking, when you're sitting down talking to an older person or just somebody, you might hear 7 stories that you've already heard, and you're like, but there's always a nugget if you hang in there. There's always a nugget that you didn't know, and sometimes I still enjoy the punchline when the person's telling me something and I still know those 7 stories is still fun. One, to see them tell it, and then two, to hear it. But then also there's always a nugget, and I heard something that was pretty impactful a while back to me, and it struck me so much that I had to slow down. And the guy said, "Hurry is incompatible with love." And so you can love somebody, but you can't verb love somebody, like take care of them, pull over, help them, whatever else. You can actually just, love, have a feeling for somebody, but you cannot hurry and love someone. So uh, that's something that's really impactful that I've really been trying to work on over the past few years and teaching it, and trying to help people to understand we can slow down a little bit and still be um, financially conservative and things like that.
No, of course. I think that's a great point there too. The whole aspect of we're trying to do as much as we can with the time we
Mhm.
have and just try to fit in stuff as much in our day as possible. One of the common things I've kind of seen from talking to guests up to this point is how much more important being able to simplify things has been. Really just been like, hey, at a certain point, at a certain age, I just like things to just kind of slow down a little bit and just kind of take our time and enjoy and smell the roses and have those type of front porch type of conversations with people.
Mhm.
I think that at some point in time we learn the beauty of that. Just hopefully it's not when it's too late. And I really like the part when you talked about like you might have heard a story a number of times, but you might find one little thing. It makes me think
Mhm.
like if you ever like watched a favorite movie of yours and you've seen it like 7, 8 plus times, maybe 100, right? No judgment here. But there might be like one thing you saw in that one scene you didn't notice all the times before. And it
Mm.
gives you another layer of appreciation or another layer of looking at that scene and that overall plot line differently. That's so helpful. And it's almost
Yes.
just like that sense of keeping that curiosity to be always seeking to find something to learn something new and just being open
Right.
to that.
That's so
And,
good. That's really good.
and so when you think about midlife in particular, Philip, um, when did you first realize that something had shifted within you?
So I remember it distinctly. My business was on a strong growth curve. we're in like our 14th year now of a 7-year bull market right now. So I remember back in, let's see, I'm 51. So I remember almost as soon as I turned 40, I started having a sore throat. So I decided, hey, this isn't good. It's been like a week and it's kind of sore. And then the second week passed by and I was like, I need to go see a doctor. So I go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor and I'm like, Doc, I think I have like throat cancer or something. And he said, go back in the room, get in the chair. And he said, but do you have any idea how many guys that hit 40 come in my office and say the same thing? I said, no. He said, I'm going to look down your throat and I'm going to charge you and I'm going to tell you that you don't have it. And it's so funny. And he was right. My throat was fine. It was in my head. But that also set off a series of things. To where it's 40 is a psychological number, what I've found out, and I'm sure since you've been doing this, you've probably um, really dove deep into that. So, but there's a number of things, and I heard one of your other guests talk about it, but um, I started learning how I'm not as creative as I used to be. I'm still creative, but not as creative and inventive as I used to be. And I read a book. And it talks about your crystallized intelligence versus your fluid intelligence when you're younger. And it was fascinating to learn about that. That it's actually normal, and a lot of the things that have happened to me are just kind of normal. And it kind of goes back to the front porch conversations because when you sit down with a 70 or 80-year-old, they can say that's normal, and we're not doing that anymore. So I hate to jump back to that, but so I'm noticing that there's a lot of things to where we just need a buddy, a friend, somebody to just say, hey, I've been there, I walked that path, my shoes are dirty from that path, but it's normal.
No, absolutely. It's really helpful from the standpoint of it's new to us in the moment,
Mm.
and there's also people that have already done that, been there, done that, got the T-shirt, got the souvenir, and they can just say, "Hey, I could just give you a preview. Spoiler alert: it's not all that bad. There's not really much to
Right,
worry about here. No need to
right.
get worried." Just really just kind of understand. It's like I get it. It's just like you know, you experience 51 for only 1 year. And so whatever
Hmm.
happens during that year, you're like, oh my gosh, like what is going on in real time? And you come across someone who's like 60 or a number of people that are 60 and beyond, they might be like, Philip, what are we really worried about here?
Right,
51 is not going to be much different than 52. Okay.
right.
And so, I think in that same vein, though, we also can recognize where some things have changed that we are adjusting to as we get older. And
Mm.
so, in particular, was there something that you noticed, Philip, that used to work for you, but suddenly didn't anymore in midlife?
Yes. I think so in my history, so I had my son was born when I was 18. He was a graduation present from uh and so and then my girls didn't come along until I was 32 or 33. So I was able to really, well, I was a knucklehead and was not a good father for the first few years. And then I ended up through a woman I met who I've now been married to for 28 years now. She started bringing my son around because I didn't want to be around him. So trying to get around to the point that you asked me is, so I was a very active father after that point, and I had so much energy to play with them. And now that I'm raising girls that are now they're 18 and 19, in my 50s, I find it is very different. I'm like, why did I not? How did I do that many things when I was in my 20s with my son that are? I'm like, how I could never go do that now, or I can do it for a few minutes, but not like all day. So there's a lot of things like that that I've noticed, and so I'm trying to trying to redirect what I think is finding other ways that I can spend quality time and have fun that are less destructive on the body and require less of a youth body, which is it's hard to do. You even see it in football players and people that are having a hard time hanging it up, and we won't even you know uh, I mentioned our Patriots quarterback, but we're trying to hang things up, and it's really hard to do. It's really hard to do.
Well, I will say this, Philip. As somebody that recently relocated from Boston, down south, and had been in Boston for 10 years, has been a Patriots fan for at least 10 years. I could definitely resonate with whatever you were going to go into on that standpoint. But on top of that as well, also as a father of twin daughters that are 9 years old, I also recognize the whole aspect of being present for your kids
Mm.
and recognizing like I want to be able to do fun things while also understanding that my body is not a 9-year-old body, which means there's certain things that as 41, I may need to have a little more caution about before
Right.
partaking in. Um, so I definitely can resonate there. Um, Even just a sense of like they're in martial arts right now. It's like,
Mm.
sweeties, I can't spar with you the way that I used to. Okay. So please be easy on me. Okay. So leading into that, was there anything that surprised you about this new season of midlife?
There is, because I was more so in the blue collar construction industry. That's where I found my niche. And let's see, 4 years ago now, I was approached by private equity and sold my company. And I had to learn um, some pretty hard lessons on how to go from being a business owner to with 115 employees to, if I wanted something done, I need to do it, and it's a very difficult road to learn. So I've had to learn, hey, I need to move into my significance phase, or my phase to where I'm giving back, which means I have to learn new tricks and new tasks, like, well, for instance, being on a podcast, because that was not in my past. And so it's interesting and actually exciting and exhilarating to be able to find out new things that I can do, and I'm able to show the girls, hey, you can do anything. I went from digging ditches to being on a podcast with Phillip Blackett, right? So so learning that and just seeing that our limits are basically only where and they don't have to be just earning. Our limits are in our minds, a lot of times. So that's what I'm learning, is how far can I go? I was on the radio just a few weeks ago, and that was so exciting. I mean, some people say radio is dead, but I experienced it as not. Um, and there's actually a little bit of a resurgence on it. Trying to get away from phones. So I don't know if I'm answering your question all the way. So hit me again if I'm not. But yeah, I'm starting to learn that learning new tricks is exciting, and we should.
No, I think you definitely helped on that one. And even just on a second layer, Philip, was there something about midlife, what did midlife force you to stop ignoring that you might have before? And
Mm,
what changed once you paid more attention to it?
mm. Um, One is health. I never had to pay attention to health before, because our bodies are so resilient before that, and now they're seem to be very resilient, but less resilient. So I've had to start taking, um, like, I started going to like functionhealth.com and doing the 120 biomarkers for your blood work to find out, and it was surprising that just simple things that I should know and didn't about my health and how to make it better, and why my energy levels were lower than I would like, and things like that. Um, let's see. I was frustrated for a while with not being creative, and I touched on that earlier. but my it's different now, but I can be creative differently, and helping somebody else know that it's achievable for them to become creative, coming alongside them is fascinating. That's something that I didn't know in my older years, that I didn't experience in my younger years, helping somebody else be creative, but now I am.
So I noticed you mentioned as far as like key mindset shifts for you. Like,
Mm.
can you elaborate? Like, what were some of those key mindset shifts for you that were really instrumental for you in adjusting to some of these changes in midlife?
Yes, so like, when times were tough, um, we, if we got just say $100, we would have never filled up the gas tank with that money. We would have said, "Hey, we're going to put, $10 in the gas tank, and then make sure we have enough money to eat, and then buy oil because our car burned more oil than it did gas." Um, so trying to learn how to think about tomorrow and next week and next month and next year, um, while also trying to learn how to enjoy today. One way I like to describe that is, a guy described it to me, and he said, "I want you to picture," and it's kind of morbid, but picture that you're on your deathbed. What would you want? You're in your last day or two of living. What would you want? Would you gather up your trophies and your big fish on the wall and all that kind of stuff and put it near your bed? So like literally go in your mind and picture what you would want. Well, I would want my kids. I have grandkids now, so grandkids, whoever else, and we wouldn't discuss any of the fishing trophies or anything like that. And so I'm really trying to head towards thinking about today. We do want experiences and we do want things like that, but we need to make sure we have enough for going into the future, but not saving up too much for the future. Just trying to be logical about it, while but not also not having too much fun today. If that does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think one of the things that comes off to me, Philip, just hearing that is just the importance of relationships.
Mm,
It's not so much a relationship with your fish or a trophy or, some other achievement you can just take with you, a plaque or a diploma. It's to your point, even using that exercise. Um, who are the people that you most cherish, that you want to
right.
spend your last times with, and how important that is? Um, and then also to the same point, I'm just curious, given your background, you know, has your relationship not only with people, but also, with money, has that changed over time for you in midlife?
It has. It's because I previously, I couldn't wait for payday. I was just so excited to get payday. And as things went forward, the times that we have now, we're financially free now, barring any catastrophic health events or something. So we're been financially free now for several years. And but the most my wife and I will go on a vacation. We may go on a, whatever type of vacation you could imagine in the Caribbean or wherever. But we have just as much fun. We've talked about walking around the block, maybe going to downtown and just walking around after dinner as we do. We have just as much enjoyment out of that as we do um, spending a lot of money. It's funny because when you get a lot, you end up not spending it as much. Right. So our relationship with money is it's super necessary. We want to continue to gain and to grow, but not at a rate that subtracts from what we need to give back. Because I truly believe that we should never pass through this life without affecting it positively.
Absolutely. And so, counting on that in particular, some of the things that you learn, some of the mindset shifts, things that are more important to you as far as those type of relationships. I'm curious, had you not made those shifts, or those transitions on how you look at things now versus before, what do you think it would have cost you if you kind of led life the way you used to?
Oh gosh, there were so many different stages, and we actually have friends in different stages now that we're still waiting on them to learn to experience it differently and to slow down because we stayed in a survivor mindset far too long. Scratch and claw phase in the business, in the survivor mindsets of so and we're watching people that have been long since financially independent, um, yet still putting the same force into work, and their marriages are falling apart and things like that. And that's what I think could have happened to us, pretty easily. And the main reason I sold was because I had 4 years left with my daughters at home, and I knew that they had been a little shortchanged while I was growing the business. Because businesses, I mean, they're a monster. They take your time. And I wanted to take my foot off the gas and spend my last 4 years with them. And so that's how our mindset has changed because we were earning pretty significantly then. Um, and so that I think that's some of the ways it's changed and what would have happened if we would have stayed on there. The exchange rate of um, family and being able to help people, and not creating the program, I wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Hmm. I appreciate that because I think for me, like, and for anyone, when you approach 40 or so, a lot of people look at that as like the midpoint and
Mm,
how things go from there. So for me, when I turned 40, it was like one of those type of moments like, oh, if this is halftime, how does the second half look? And I think to the same degree, and you illustrated this, when my girls turned 9 a month ago, I was like, oh, we're at halftime here too. Because
right.
0 to 9 and then 9 to 18, and then after 18, bye-bye. It's like now we're an empty nester. And to your
Yeah.
point, what I really respect was probably not a easy decision for you to make, but
Mm,
just the notion of with what you poured into your business over so many years and the trade-offs and sacrifices you made along the way, which seemed like it had a point with your family in particular as well, to be able to say, listen, I got 4 more years left with these 2 essentially in the house, and it's never gonna be the same afterwards.
right.
How can I do things a little bit different just so I can prioritize more time with my family that I know is coming to an end?
Yeah. No, that's really good. Gosh, I one thing I did do because I'm sometimes it's hard. So my last two are 18 and 19-year-old girls, women, I guess. To me, they're girls when I look at them. Um, but I was trying to, what can I do to spend time with them? And so we're down here in Charleston, South Carolina, and I said, so I was thinking about it, I was praying about it, trying to figure out how I could connect with them. And we both love water. So I went on just one of the cheap apps, Facebook Marketplace, and found the cheapest sailboat you could find, $27,000. It was cheap. And it's like a 1984. Everything is original. So it's, just green and red. But what I thought was, I can't give them a college education. I mean, I can't be their professor. I can't be this or that. But they'll learn more sailing, how to get off of a dock, in traffic, how to get onto the dock, how to adjust their sails during different conditions, all of the dynamics that go into sailing. So I was just really trying to think, how can I spend time with the girls and it not need me directing so much because the things they're learning while we're sailing is just unbelievable and it's free. After you buy the boat, it's free. And so it's really, really cool. We use like maybe $1 worth of diesel fuel to get away from the dock, and then we just sail. And it's amazing because it's quiet, and we'll subtly race one of the sailboats across the way. Um, but they're learning so much, and I'm learning, and I'm getting to be with them, and it's such a cool thing. So I would encourage everyone. Like, I can't run with them anymore. Like, I can run, but they're at different rates. You know what I mean? So just like you mentioned with the martial arts. So, but on a sailboat, we're all going the same speed, and it's all just logic, thinking, talk. We're all held captive. So it's kind of cool.
No, it's beautiful because like those are memories that you create with them that they'll be like, you remember that time when, when we were with our dad, we almost hit that boat, but we were able to sail it away. This sort of just, I think that that's kind of like a recurring theme I often see is just like you start to go more into experiences and memories that created
Mm,
as you get older, especially with those you love. And
mm.
so for a lot of people, that's like a value that's strong for them. And so just curious from your take, Philip, at this point in time, what are some of the beliefs or habits or rhythms that for you now, post selling the business, are now non-negotiable for you?
So for our family and for us, our faith is a non-negotiable. We we believe in God, and we really try to share what we know of God's love with people, and together. Um, spending time together. We didn't take date nights serious. We just thought, hey, we'll go out when we can, and we had to learn that no, we can weekly. So let's go weekly, just to keep everything on track. And some of them might be an argument date. But we've gone on a date before, and didn't get along. So non-negotiables are just spending time, giving back. I don't want to have any regrets. I want to be able to go back and help. Yeah, because my wife came from a worse place than I did. So we want to go back and help people. How many people are out there that we don't know of that are just needing some type of a chance? Not a check, not money, not anything like that, but just hey, you can do this. You got it. So those are our non-negotiables. Is we're not going to trade money or hurry for what what we feel like we were put on the planet to do.
Hmm. Absolutely. And when you think about where things are for you, what does thriving look like for you now?
That's a really good question. So I believe thriving equals growth. So we're currently looking for a way to somehow earn more. And the reason for that is so that we can give it away, because we have what we need. But we want to be able to give it away and grow. Thriving means not always having lots of energy. You can't, every day cannot be great. It's not Mr. Rogers, but um, so, but thriving is when my kids come in the door at 18 and 19, and they're hugging me. When I go to church and end up hugging 15 people, that's, to me, that's thriving. When people say, hey, can you help me with this problem? Or if I have people that I say, hey, I'm struggling with this, can you help me with this problem? To me, all of that's thriving, having somebody I can pull from and give to. Um, and I'm probably missing something, but that's thriving to me.
Absolutely. And I can respect that. I can go with that. So, Philip, I think this has been really a great conversation we've had, and just the type of
Yes.
wisdom that we were talking about. We hope we could learn from others and be able to share. And I think that we've definitely done that here. And so, for those that are watching and listening to our conversation now, whether podcast or radio, who knows where it is, um, if there is someone that may be going through a tough time in midlife, maybe they're kind of seeing themselves drifting like a sailboat without direction, or they may find themselves burning out trying to balance it all, maybe even managing a business on their own and that sort. What would you want to share with that person right now?
Um, Someone's already been through it, and your job is to find the person that's already been through it and came out the other side, been through the fire. Um, Also, know that it's never as bad as it feels. It's never as bad as it feels. People worried about losing their jobs, but when they lost their jobs, they found out, okay, so now I have to go get another job. It might be hard, but the fear of losing a job is different, is worse than actually losing a job. So I would say, yeah, find somebody that has already walked through that, because there's people that have walked through it and made it, and you're capable of more than what you know. And I don't mean that as in a self help reference. You're just a lot of times our limitations are only in our minds. Yeah, find somebody that's already walked through it and have some really good friends. I've tried to circle my friends, make friends in this new city that we moved into, and have one that's really good at fitness, one that's really good at energy, one, and circle myself with the 5 tiers that I find important so that I can be growing in that all times. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And so, for those that, are taking part in our conversation, Philip, and want to learn more about you and follow more of the work you're doing and the mission you're taking a part on or taking part of at this point, um, to be able to find more ways to give to people, where can they connect with you after this conversation?
So we have a website, Your Money Essentials, where I offer a financial class, and you don't have to take the financial class. You can reach me through there. You can reach me through corebusinessessentials.com, either one of those, or honestly on any of the socials, because we're all over the socials with the hashtag, was it Your Money Essentials? So either one of those.
Excellent. And we'll make sure we'll be able to share that with our audience here too. So, Phil, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with us and have a conversation. And, you know, for those that are listening or watching us right now, like let this be a lesson learned that, midlife, the biggest takeaway I got from this conversation was it's often like sailing a sailboat to some degree where the water sometimes is something you can anticipate, or sometimes there's things that you might not anticipate. But having someone to help guide you that might have been there before you, might have had the gray hairs to show it, or no hair at all, but can help with that sort of thing. But also, it's also a great time to kind of reevaluate what's most important to you, which could very much be more about the relationships of the people you care about. That was definitely a lesson learned. So for me, that's what I would impart. If there was something here that Philip shared that really resonated with you, maybe caused you to pause a little bit, pay attention to something you might not have paid attention to before, or think about something a little more deeply. Like give yourself the time to see if that helps shift something in your mindset. You know, oftentimes it's where real change happens, not so much from urgency to go, 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 or to hurry, but just give yourself the space and the grace to think something more deeply and see where that goes. And so, with that being said, to learn more about life after 40, head on over to our website at life. You're also open to connect with me, Philip. And like I said, Philip, thank you so much for taking time for us having this great conversation together. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Feel free to share this with someone that could be helpful just to hear Philip's voice, not mine, Philip's voice on this one, and his insight and his lived experience here. And with that being said, this is Life After Conversations with Philip Blackett. Take care. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching and being a part. And we'll see you in the next conversation. Bye for now.